from SuperKicking with Kelsi. I'm just going to give my thoughts and review on Wrestle Kingdom 12, as well as some things I thought about New Year's Dash. Wrestle Kingdom 12 was a really entertaining show. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I stayed up and watched it live, and there really wasn't a point where I felt like it was dragging. It never feels like 5 hours, 5+ hours. It always goes by really, really quickly, which is one of the things I love about Wrestle Kingdom and about watching New Japan Pro Wrestling. When the story's well done and when the wrestling is great, it just flies by. It's like perfectly done. So let's talk about some of the specific matches. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts as well, and what you thought about each match, or maybe your favorite part. But let's start with the first match, which would be the Bucks versus Roppongi 3K. That was an awesome match, a great match to start off the night, getting the crowd kind of pumped up and into it, because actually the Young Bucks are really over. Imagine that, the Young Bucks being over no matter where they are. Of course, Roppongi 3K is also popular, and I thought it was a really good match. I loved the selling of the hurt backs. Like, they did such a good job. And I really bought that Matt was hurt because, man, did his bump sound, like, horrific. When he took that bump on the outside of the ring and you heard it was crazy. So he really sold that well. And I loved how they sold the story of that throughout the rest of the match. And a lot of people criticize the Bucks for not telling stories in their matches. But I feel like in this match, they kind of proved that they could do that. And that's one of the best things about the Bucks. They can do comedy wrestling, they could do fun, entertaining wrestling, and then they could tell a story when they want to. They're really one of the most versatile groups that exists ever, but especially today. They're awesome, and I think they really are going to go down in the history books as one of the greatest ever. And they also have a great mind for the business in terms of merchandise sales and so on. Now the gauntlet match. That wasn't my favorite. It was entertaining, but, you know, it just didn't feel like it was really important. But I still enjoyed it on the whole. I actually predicted who would win, somehow. A lot of times my friend asks me to give predictions of who I think will win, and usually I'm completely wrong and really terrible. So, luckily this time, I actually was right somehow. And I picked the winner of the gauntlet match. Even though picking the winners really isn't my thing or my favorite thing to do, but I was surprised that I actually chose correctly. And I thought, like I said, it was a decent match, but it wasn't overly entertaining. It was just good. So then we've got Kota Ibushi and Cody, and that really surprised me, because Cody has not had a match that's made me go, wow, that was great. Cody's character is amazing. I love his heel tactics. I really think he's coming into his own as a performer. He's always been good in whatever role he's been in, even when he was in WWE, but I feel like now, in this match that he had with Kota Ibushi, he kind of like took it up a notch. He performed a lot better than I expected, and I actually enjoyed the match, because a lot of times Cody's been thrown into these huge matches and kind of I feel underwhelmed afterwards, but this time I felt the opposite. I was surprised. I thought it was really good, and so he really surprised me. In fact, he was like kind of up there on my list of favorite matches of the whole card, which was surprising because I did not expect to feel that way. I'd love to know what you guys thought about that, because a lot of people are saying the same thing. Yeah, exactly, Aaron. Yeah, he was missing that defining match, and I feel like this kind of was that for him, and I think from here on, you might even see better quality matches from him. Maybe that he's just been working on stuff, he knew how important it was, so I really was impressed, I have to say. And here comes, oh well, before I get to that one, let me talk about KES versus Sonata and Evil. I love Evil. I love Sonata too, but LIJ is so great. But what's great about KES is when they come into the crowd and they spit water everywhere. It's just so entertaining. You know, a lot of times big men can kind of get boring, like same gimmick over and over again, like big, tough, limited move sets. But really, I just like them so much. I don't know why I like KES so much, but they had like numerous water bottles. Like, I don't know how they fit all the water bottles to be able to spit all over the audience, but they literally spit on the audience for a good, felt like 10 minutes. It was awesome. I laughed so hard. That was great. I'm kind of rushing through that because I'm getting to the match that was really one of my favorite matches. It's close to my favorite, but not my favorite, but very close. Suzuki versus Goto. And I had such a stake in this match because Suzuki's my favorite, and this isn't just a normal hair versus hair match like you might see in other promotions. You might think it's a stupid gimmick, but Suzuki's hair means something. It's not nothing. Plus, you know, in the Japanese culture, there's a whole thing behind it about honor as well. Like, you know, getting your head shaved, it's kind of like, it's a thing of honor, like to keep your hair in a hair match. But even more so with Suzuki, he's known for this hair. That he would come in with the towel, take it off, looks all menacing and crazy. So to me, I was super invested, and that always winds up being my favorite matches, is the ones that I'm invested in what's happening, you know, in the ring. I'm invested in the people involved. So Suzuki, when he finally lost, I almost cried. I've got video of it. I'm going to post it later on my YouTube. My YouTube is SuperKicking It with Kelsi, by the way. Jeff, stop trolling, please. My friend Jeff says, can we talk about Roman Reigns? Dude, he's a legit talent and arguably the best wrestler in the world today. Whatever, Jeff, I'm going to ignore you. No. We can't talk about that right now. We're talking about Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, props to Goto. He has been underwhelming, as you say, but he delivered in this match. I do feel like he delivered. Goto's kind of been consistently the guy who's always so close to winning but never gets there. He was like that like even last year, but I feel like this was a big win for him. He needed that. I do think that the outcome was kind of, I mean, I predicted the outcome because Goto had lost in the last 2 meetings with Suzuki, so I figured it was going to be Goto's time. But he did deliver in the match, but I love the ending because the way Suzuki shaved his head, even though I was about to cry and I was like, no, run away, don't get your head shaved, the way he like stepped up and shaved his own head, that was so cool. It was kind of like, how could you do it any better than that? What could have been a better outcome? I don't know. The Suzuki laugh. You love the Suzuki laugh, and the dropkick he nailed in that match was awesome. Yeah, Suzuki, his laugh is like really creepy and scary, awesome. Oh wow, Caden, Suzuki won you over at Wrestle Kingdom 12. The entrance, look, demeanor, all of it. Yeah, he's amazing. And you know what's funny is I know a few people who had never watched Wrestle Kingdom or New Japan at all, and so it was their first time seeing Suzuki. And they were like really into him. I know 2 people specifically who said they had never watched, but they were really into that match and it was one of their favorites. And it was because of Suzuki, how brutal he wrestles and everything. And actually, you know, after he shaved his head, he actually looks even more menacing. So my fear of him like basically losing kind of his luster without his hair, it was unfounded. He proves that he's still just as menacing as a bald man. So, I don't know. That was an awesome match. I really enjoyed it. And good point, Aaron, about Goto stepping up. This is my second favorite match of the whole card, the 4-way match. Japan doesn't do this type of match very often, but it was so well done. And as I said in my hype video leading up to Wrestle Kingdom, each guy in the match kind of had a story going with the other 3 people in one way or another. Like, man, you had the whole saga of Ospreay and Kushida. I mean, when Ospreay debuted in New Japan Pro Wrestling, his first match was with Kushida. And then, you know, they had some classic matches at the Best of Super Junior. Well, specifically the final match this year. That was awesome. So that was kind of continuing that saga. Not to mention, Ospreay and Skrull has had some story behind that. Not just some, a lot actually. Yes, exactly. Very well told story, and that's what made it mean something. It wasn't just a 4-way match to have a 4-way match. Everybody in the match had something to do with another one. Like Hiromu Takahashi, he's had a lot of meetings with Kushida. He's had meetings with Ospreay. It was so well done. I mean, New Japan, how could they book things any better? They really can't. It's amazing. Ospreay's style. Caden, my friend Caden says he's curious on my thoughts about Ospreay's style. I love his style. It's fast-paced, it's entertaining. A lot of people don't like it because they think it's too high-flying and they think it's too choreographed looking. Like, that's one of the reasons why that Ricochet match, him and Ospreay, that went almost like viral, because people had never seen stuff like that on such a large scale. And then it basically, everyone started watching it. I'm upset Daryl didn't take a bump too, but at the same time, I'm glad he didn't take a bump because my poor Daryl, don't hurt him. Super kicking it with Kelsi, beware of imitators. Yeah, I know. Trust me. But back to Ospreay and his style. I really love his style because some people don't like the high-flying stuff. I do. I think wrestling is all about entertaining the audience. And if you can do that in whatever way you want, then more props to you. Ricochet has this awesome quote about wrestling as an art. And you can express the style of art that you want. Like, all these different types of wrestling. You got death matches, you got technical wrestling, you got high-flying wrestling. All that are specific styles of wrestling, specific styles of expressing that, like, yourself. So I think that's such a cool idea that Ricochet has put out there, and I actually really agree with him. And so that's why I like Ospreay's style. And I think he does a good job of pumping the crowd up, so he's good at that too. Oh no, I don't want Jericho to destroy Daryl. Aaron is referring to now, we're going to have a program, it seems, with Naito, who's a member of LIJ, which would be, along with Hiromu Takahashi, which he has this little stuffed cat, Daryl. And now he's going to feud with Jericho. And I think Jericho probably will rip up Daryl or do something really terrible to hurt him, and I'll be really sad. Please don't hurt Daryl. He's so sweet and innocent. He didn't hurt anybody. I actually have a little Daryl at home. He's so cute. I actually have two. I might give away one day as a part of a giveaway because they're super cute and awesome to add to your wrestling merch collection. Exactly. Leave him alone. Right, Caden? Leave Daryl alone. But yeah, that four-way match, so well done. Honestly, you don't see matches like that. I hate to be a WWE hater, but at the same time, I don't hate to be it because how could you get better than that four-way match? I'm such a hater. I'm sorry. But here, I'll be critical of New Japan here. I love Tanahashi and I love Jay White. Even though Jay White's still new, finding his footing, I don't think this character of, like, Switchblade is a good fit for him. That's just me personally. But he's kind of taking a different direction. After New Year's Dash, he did this press conference where he joined Chaos, and he basically said he wants to join Chaos because he feels like he can't beat Bullet Club and Kenny Omega by himself. He needs to join Chaos, join in with their ranks so that they could all kind of gang up against Bullet Club. So I think that's a step in the right direction, away from like the pure heel Switchblade character. Like maybe it'll be like an in-between, like a tweener thing, I don't know. But I'm not a huge fan of the Switchblade character. It doesn't fit him. He was such a good babyface, and it's hard to see this complete turnaround where he seems like he's uncomfortable with it himself. Like he's almost a little awkward with it. And yeah, Aaron, great point. Tanahashi was really moving poorly. But he's hurt. He needs to take a break. And you could tell that, like, even when he entered the ring, Tanahashi was kind of, like, really stiff. And I noticed when he got up on the ropes and, like, pandered to the crowd, he almost looked, like, in pain. And that was at the beginning of the match. So I knew right then that was a bad sign. And it made me worried. And you're right, healthy 100% Tanahashi would have done great. So it would have been a better match. But what we had is what we had. So it is what it is. It wasn't my favorite match. It kind of was like the dragging part of the later part of the card. Bushi. Yeah, Bushi's great. I love Bushi. I love all of his outfits as well, but I think he's kind of an underrated part of LIJ. I wish he was kind of more prominent sometimes. Switchblade's feud with Omega will really bring out the best of him. Yeah, I think so too. That's a good point there. Like you said, he's finding his footing, but stoked for this White Omega feud. I'm stoked for that too. It's something new, it's something different, and I think you're right. Maybe it's just an initial awkwardness, and Jay White will get over it, I hope. Oh yeah, I love when he says that. I can't say it good because I can't even pronounce English right, so don't ask me to say it, please. There's one more point I wanted to make about... It did still tell a good story. Tanahashi is always fun to watch, even at 50%. You're right. He is fun to watch. And let's talk about Tanahashi a little bit more. Now it seems like at New Year's Dash that maybe they're teasing a program with Suzuki. Obviously, Suzuki really kind of... Well, he was upset about losing his hair, obviously, but he really targeted Tanahashi. I'm super excited to see a feud with him and Tanahashi, and maybe he'll be the person to take the belt off of Tanahashi so he could go heal up. And that would be good, and it would be extra good if he holds the belt. Selfishly, I want him if he does win, even at all, this is total speculation. Suzuki and Tanahashi, say they feud. Say my boy Suzuki wins and he holds the belt. I think that means there might be a good chance that Suzuki will come to the States and be a part of that USA California show that will happen in Long Beach in March. I hope so, because my dream is to see Suzuki live in person before it's too late. He is 49, so I don't know when he plans to retire, but he's in good health. Kenny greater than Okada. That is a controversial statement, my friend, but you know, I feel you there because I love Okada. He's amazing. He's probably one of the best wrestlers in the world. People think he is the best wrestler in the world. I think Kenny's right up there with him. And the reason is not just because of the in-ring performance, which they're really, like, super close on that. Like, I can't really put one above the other in terms of in-ring performance. But in terms of global impact, in terms of having, like, such a presence, having such skill at mic work, I would have to give that to Omega. I think he has the leg up there. He is so smart. Well, not just him, he's got the benefit of having the Bucks associated with him, and they're so smart business-wise that it's great for Kenny because they've done so many things that have made them like a global phenomenon. And I really feel like we're in like the midst of a new attitude era, that we might be seeing wrestling becoming cool again, becoming more popular. Omega's a big part of that, I think. But in Japan, really the head honcho, the head guy, the guy to be is Okada. Globally, he's really popular and awesome too. I'm not like downplaying his global effect, but you can't deny what Omega's done as well. Aaron says he's for Okada. He's a different level than everyone else. Nobody performs better in final minutes of matches. That is a great point because Okada is incredible. Like, you look back at 2017 at all of his title defenses, they have been super incredible. I mean, even his match with Fale, which could have like fallen flat because there's only so much Fale can do performance-wise. There's only so many things you could do with a guy of that size. Okada and him really delivered. Not only that, like, some of my favorite matches of the year were Okada and Suzuki, not just because I love Suzuki, but because Okada matched Suzuki's intensity. When you're in a match with Suzuki, you have to like rise up to that intensity, and Okada really did that. So he cannot be like downplayed. I'm sorry, like I like them both. It's hard to choose. It really is. Everyone has their preference though. Omega tells better stories, in David's opinion, and Okada is kind of a protected wrestler. Well, I could see your point there. I think Omega is really good at telling stories, but more than just in ring. Omega tells stories outside of the ring really good too. Okada tells great stories in ring. I don't know. I really like them both. It's hard to choose. Please talk more about our Lord and Savior Okada, Kazuchika Okada. Well, he's great. I just did talk about him a lot. He's awesome. I can't say enough good things. Oh. Okay, so y'all remember when he's like coming out for Wrestle Kingdom and they play that video package where he flips the coin and the coin like bounces on the ground and then his music hits? Oh my god, that video package, I don't know what it is about it, but it's so flippin' awesome. I loved that video package. It was amazing. I went back, it's on YouTube in full form now, because when you watched it live, you only like saw the beginning with the coin and like a little bit, and then they cut to him actually coming out. I didn't pay attention when he was coming out, like to the monitor, what was playing behind him. So if you watch the whole thing, it's flippin' incredible. It just like gets you pumped up. It's so entertaining to watch. And whoever produced that video, it's like a music video, kind of in a way. It is so good. It's like the perfect entrance for somebody. JR had a really interesting tweet about how that video was kind of like menacing, the way he was like walking and the way he slowly tossed the coin and it hit the ground. It really made Okada seem like a big deal, and I'm paraphrasing what JR tweeted, but something along those lines he said, and I basically agree that was an awesome video package. Aaron says, Okada takes his ability to an extra gear. It's an intangible that's hard to describe. I do agree, but let's like segue and skip Kenny and Jericho, and like, since we're talking so much about Okada, let's go to the main event. I liked the main event a lot, but for some reason it just like didn't capture me the way I thought it would, and didn't capture me the way Wrestle Kingdom 11's main event did. when I watched that live, like, I was screaming. I was so into it. And it wasn't just because of Omega. I really liked Okada's performance in that, too. And this one, and it took me by surprise. This one, like, there's all these expectations. They're following Omega and Jericho. And I feel like they started off really fast in the ring. And my friend said the same thing. They started off really fast. Everyone knows that it's not going to end in the first, like, few minutes. So all those things happening really fast in the beginning was kind of like, not pointless, but it's like you knew it wasn't going to stop there. It wasn't going to end. And then as it like went on, it got like slower and slower, but like this, I don't know. I love Naito, and I really thought it was his time. I just felt like the match didn't showcase either of them to their best, which is hard for me to say because I really do love them both. And I'm not trying to be super critical, but I don't know why I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. Aaron says, it's hard to top Omega and Okada, but he still enjoyed it very much. Fans were electric. They were electric. It was so loud. Like, when Naito came out, oh my God, I would have given anything to be in that room, like, and just hear that, and it probably would have given me goosebumps because that was so magical. Like, to think back on when he wasn't given that main event because there was such a backlash against him, to like how far he's come now. It's really incredible how things have turned around for him. That was so cool. And Okada's super over, like, no matter what. So I don't know, it was just so well done and magical. Like, especially the entrances. That was my favorite part, was the entrances. But the match itself was good. Like you said, the fans were electric. True facts, Wrestle Kingdom 11 main event had everyone crying, but 12 main event wasn't quite the same. Feel like Okada didn't bring it to the same level as 11, says David. I almost agree with you there. Like, that's how I feel, and I can't put words to the feeling, though. I don't know why, I just know that's how I feel. But I'm not taking anything away because they're great performers, and they really did a good job. It just, as everyone said, it was hard to follow Omega Jericho. Since you have a Power Ranger shirt on, can we talk about how Goldar was a politician that never put any Ranger over? That's funny. I love the Power Rangers. It's like my favorite show ever. I almost had the chance to interview Jason David Frank yesterday, but I had to go to work and I missed out. But I talked to like his PR assistant, and I was like this close. Oh, I wish I could have gone and interviewed Jason David Frank. Although I'm personally a fan of the Red Ranger when he was the leader of the Power Rangers. Then when, Tommy, the white/Green Ranger, came in, get out of here, Tommy. You're not the real leader. It's my boy, Jason. He's the real leader. Anyway, that's not really wrestling related, but Power Rangers, awesome. I'm a true 90s kid. So, Ospreay, yeah. Ospreay had an awesome performance. It was cool to see him get the belt. I actually thought it would either be Hiromu or Skrull. I thought Skrull would, retain. So I was actually pretty surprised. That was one of my guesses that I guessed wrong. Like I said, I picked mostly, I think I might have had 3 or 4 wrong, which for me is pretty good of a ratio of picks of who's going to win. And of being right. But I picked the Fatal 4-Way result wrong. I didn't think Ospreay would win because, he just had it. It's a quick turnaround. But overall, I think it's actually a great decision. Ospreay's time. He could do some really cool things with the belt and keeps things fresh. I can't wait, though, for Takahashi to get it, maybe. He is someone who I've really enjoyed this year, Hiromu. Just, character-wise, but wrestling-wise. In every way, he's been so enjoyable, and so I can't wait to see bigger things from him. And it's not just because I love Daryl so much. So now let's get to the match that people talk about. Let's get to the match that people are talking about who don't usually watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that is the match that brought quite a few people in, new eyes into the product. That would be Omega versus Jericho, of course. That match, man, so well done, so entertaining, so brutal. And, I was afraid beforehand. In my hype video, I said, will Jericho be able to match, Omega in the ring? And luckily, the way they built this match to be more about, a fight, less about sequences, really subsided that fear. And it turned out that there was no need to worry. Jericho and Omega matched up perfectly in the ring. I'm going to be critical again. There were a few little messy spots. I don't want to be too nitpicky, though. It was really, really awesome. The only thing that bothered me was when Jericho was, hanging, and he was about to run and, fall into the table, and he basically, was kind of pausing and kind of looking for the table where it was. Other than that, I really loved it, and really that didn't hinder my enjoyment at all. It's just something I noticed at first. Jericho's entrance was sick. How cool is it to come out to your own song? Pretty awesome. And just his whole demeanor, I've said it already. I've said it a lot, actually, and I'm sorry to repeat myself, but Jericho is one of the greatest minds in the business ever. To keep himself so fresh, to keep reinventing himself, to basically stay relevant. That's such a talent. Not just anybody can do that. And Jason, yes, Daryl is greater than everyone, not just greater than Ospreay. Daryl is the best. Let me just get that in there real quick. But Jericho, he's gonna live on forever. He's just such a genius when it comes to knowing what to do and how to stay popular, stay relevant, how to prolong his career as well. Jericho putting Red Shoes' son in the walls was the greatest thing ever. I know, I have like a reaction video on my YouTube channel, SuperKicking It with Kelsi, where you could hear me saying like, "That's Red Shoes' son? Leave him alone!" Like, I was freaking out. That was so cool. I love that part. That was really a great little touch into the match. You know, just Jericho destroying people left and right on the outside of the ring. Loved that. David says, didn't expect Jericho to deliver at all. I was actually expecting the match to suck, but it delivered. Only thing that was missing was Jericho's list. Well, I'm glad there was no list, because like I said, he kept things fresh. He made it totally different. He didn't like rely on his WWE stuff. He became like a whole new Jericho, which I really, like I said, admire about him. I love that about him. And I think that's what he had to do to succeed in this new role of his. And I was expecting it not to suck. I thought it would be good because Omega is like awesome at like making things deliver. I've never really seen a bad match by him, like especially in the last 2 years. So I thought it was awesome, but beforehand, like I said, I was worried a little bit. Luckily, my fears, no reason to have them. It was great. So yeah, so you agree with the table thing too? Yeah, that was the only thing that like, if that wasn't there, it would have been like literally perfect for me. I'll be curious. I don't know if Meltzer like rated everything yet, because I haven't really caught up on what Meltzer even said about it. I should have, but I'll be interested to know his rating, because although Meltzer's a controversial topic or person as well, I love to hear what he has to say. I always find it interesting because, you know, no one else has that kind of experience in covering wrestling in a journalistic way. So I feel like even though a lot of times I might disagree with him, I still always respect and kind of enjoy hearing what he has to say, just hearing his point of view. So if anyone knows if he's rated anything, please let me know, because I haven't read anything yet about what he said about the match or about the whole card, really. But yeah, besides Wrestle Kingdom 12, New Year's Dash the next night, I think, set up some really exciting things, including the Suzuki Tanahashi thing, of course, the Jericho Naito thing, the Jay White Omega thing. Man, sucks that Omega's mic wasn't on right away. That kind of created a moment of awkwardness. You could tell that Omega was pissed when that mic wasn't on. Jeez, that would have been pretty sucky. Meltzer will give Omega versus Jericho, and like he put like a ton of stars match, like way over 8 stars. So I'm sure he'll give it a really good rating, but I think he might give. I'm really interested now. I'm thinking about it. I wonder what he'll give Naito and Okada. No ratings yet. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it or something, because I haven't read my Observer newsletter recently, or even looked at the website. So, but I figured I would have seen something on my groups or something. But overall, it was an awesome show. I'd love to know what you guys has enjoyed most. I'm sure a lot of people will say Omega and Jericho, but me, Omega and Jericho, I guess, would be my favorite, but really close second and third, the Fatal 4-Way and the Suzuki match. And I'm really excited about this new Suzuki. Like I said like a billion times, I'm sorry, I'm putting him over so much. He's my fave. And that Fatal 4-Way was awesome. You hardly ever see matches like that. Although I know someone who doesn't usually watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, or even, you know, he's very critical about like high flying and stuff. He did not like the Fatal 4-Way match, but he really is into more like old school wrestling, like, you know, mat based wrestling, old school, technical as well. But so that really, it didn't. I thought he would dislike it already before he even watched it, and he did. So I'm sure some people will be like, oh, it's too flippy, but I thought it was great. And if you really follow New Japan Pro Wrestling, you'll know that there was a story. It wasn't just flippity floppy to be flippity floppity, and the Bucks were the same way. Their match was not just flippity floppity. It had a story, it had a meaning, and overall, I think that showed. And that's one of the best things about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not only are the matches incredible, but like the storylines when they do them, people say, "Oh yeah, watch WWE for story and entertainment. Watch New Japan for wrestling." That isn't true. New Japan has stories too. They do a good job at telling a story too. In fact, sometimes they do it. A lot of times, I'm sorry, not just sometimes. A lot of times they do it better. David says, New Year's Dash was the perfect kickoff for the year. I agree, that was awesome. The only real letdown at Wrestle Kingdom was Ibushi Cody. I disagree, Jason. I thought that was a great match. I thought that could have been a dud, and I expected it to be. But to me, it surprised me, and I liked it. FTRR, get it? I get it. Do you get it, though? David, do you get it? David said FTRR, by the way, for those who will watch later on my YouTube. Let's talk about being the elite, man. They are so great. This is like a segue. How cool is it that they've sold so much merch, and that's I think another one of the reasons why New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor have gotten bigger this year is because of the whole success of being the elite. Who knew that like a YouTube show could do this? Could almost like make wrestling cool again. I think that's a big part of it. I'm sure there's other reasons. There are other reasons, like New Japan has gotten like so good. How could people who really love wrestling ignore it? If you like good wrestling, there's so much stuff to watch. And that's why it's the coolest time ever to be a fan right now. If I was just watching WWE, I think I would really kind of be bummed out on the product, and bummed out on wrestling in general. Because I would be thinking to myself, there's got to be something different. And I might get a little bored with wrestling. But because there's so many options, and I'm not just talking about Ring of Honor and New Japan, I'm talking about like the Rev Pros, PWG, like everything you could imagine under the sun is out there. Local wrestling is doing great too. There's a local promotion around my hometown called Wildcat. That's really big here. It's just so cool to see wrestling fans have options instead of kind of being relegated to one thing. I love that. And I think you're only going to see more and more of that as streaming becomes basically like the norm of what's happening. It's kind of cool. How will this change, the face of wrestling? How will this change what WWE does? Because maybe the competition will get so high that WWE will step up their game. And that's exciting too, because when WWE is good, it's really good. But the problem is that those times are so few and far between. We'll just have to see if this next year brings any kind of crazy turnarounds, and I'm looking forward to finding that out. I'm still waiting to see Kenny's DM, but they released his DM. It's basically a mock-up of Seth Rollins, his leaks where they were kind of like not suitable for work. Rated R, like overrated R. But anyway, Kenny like posed in the same way, and then they put like faces. Whose face did they put over? His own face? Well, over the body parts. So that was the DM. I'm sure it's in one of the past episodes. I can't even remember which episode it was in, but somewhere in there was the DM at the very end, and it was ridiculous. If you can just even imagine Kenny posing like in the same way Seth Rollins did, with like faces covering like different parts of him. Absurd, but funny. I will say I laughed when I saw that episode. Overall, thanks so much, you guys, for watching. It really means a lot to me, and the participation. This has been one of my funnest little live videos. I love participation, and I've loved hearing what you guys have thought of Wrestle Kingdom. And if you want to say more, please just comment below, or you know what? I have social media all over the place. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and of course my Facebook page, which is here, but they're all at the same handle, at SuperKickingIt. And this is important, guys. It's with a G. There's a group going around right now without a G. That is not me. I'm SuperKickingIt. SuperKickingIt, and I've been doing some really hard dedication on wrestling coverage for like the last year plus. So my brand means a lot to me. SuperKickingIt with a G. That's me. Also, like I said, check out my YouTube, Super Kicking It with Kelsi. That's Kelsi, just like my Facebook page name. And also, just watch more New Japan Pro Wrestling, engage with me on social media, and also check out my articles for pwpnation.com. I've done only a few. I wish I've done more, but usually don't have a lot of time to write, but I've written about some stuff, including I did like a hype article about Jericho versus Omega, and I really love that article. I did an article about Suzuki, kind of talking about a little bit about his background, more about like hyping his match with Cody at that Ring of Honor show. A whole bunch of different articles, but just search for Kelsi on there and they should come up. I also have links down on my Facebook page, and there's some good articles on there besides mine too. So thanks again, you guys. And one more before I leave, I'll read what Jason said. He said, the main roster that is, won't step up their game until Vince is in the ground. That is a controversial statement, but it is kind of brutally honest. Vince won't give up control, like you allude to, till he's probably gone, unless he's so busy, like if he really does this new XFL project, new/old XFL project, maybe he will be so distracted he won't have time, but I doubt that. He makes time. He barely sleeps. But, yeah, I don't know if he'll ever give up control until he's gone, passed away. And that's gonna be an interesting time. It'll be a sad time to see Vince go because he's such a visionary, but it'll be interesting to see if Triple H takes the reins, how things will unfold, because NXT is great, and he's done great things with that. Just imagine, like, being in charge of everything. How cool would that be? Styles versus Nakamura Part 2. A lot of people think that's happening at WrestleMania. I hope so, because I'm going to WrestleMania, and I'm super excited. But even more so, I'm actually even more excited for Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, which is the night before. That should be awesome, too. And a whole bunch of awesome local events happening at WrestleCon, and like the Super Show, Rev Pro, Wildcat Wrestling, which is, like I said, my local wrestling, that will actually have a show as part of the WrestleCon week, which is really cool. So many good stuff, and I can't wait. I hope you guys, maybe some of you will be down here. That'd be really cool. If you are, let me know. And maybe I'll see you at a show. And maybe I'll include you in my video, because I'm going to be looking to get interviews with fans, interviews with wrestlers. It should be a really fun time. Thanks so much again for watching, everyone. I'm going to head out. See you later. One sweet.